से 15-20 लोग और भी लिस्ट में हैं मेरी। अब ये ना कि सारे अभी फरवरी में करा देंगे तो फिर अगली बार क्या होगा? True. I think Mr. Sachin Gaur has joined.
Yeah, Sachin.
Most welcome.
Hello everyone.
Hello Sachin, welcome. We are so grateful that you took out time for us. We're really grateful, Sachin. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
You're too kind, Sachin. We know how precious your time is, but we're really fortunate that we have you. And this is a session which everybody's been so excited about, and we're so grateful. You're such an inspiration for everybody here, Sachin. So.
No, ma'am. I think we're just all doing our jobs, and I think
it's true, Sachin. I mean, we might be teachers, you see, but for students, I mean, to see a real example, of what their future can be like through figures like you is really, in itself motivating. So I don't think we can ask for anything more than that. So,
ma'am, we'll do our best. Has Zohaib joined?
Yeah, Zohaib hasn't joined yet. I think Shiraz Bhai can message him.
So these days, ma'am, I see a lot of activity. So I think it's like really going, super.
We're trying to do something, Sachin. Sachin, where are you based in Norway?
Ma'am, I'm in Oslo.
Oslo, acha, fantastic. Yeah. Long ago, I'd gone to Norway, so for a conference to Vasa. So yeah, Zohaib has also joined us. Fantastic.
Hello, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Zohaib. We are so grateful and so indebted to you and to Sachin. I can't tell you. I was just telling Sachin that your presence here is so inspiring for everybody. I mean, not just. I mean, we are so proud and privileged and honored that you are here. But for the students, I mean, you are. I mean, we look up to you. So students, of course, look up to you that many fold. So.
I'm too generous words.
No, it's absolutely true. Zohaib, it's absolutely.
We are delighted that you have called us. Thanks a lot to you and to all the students who have joined.
Not at all. The privilege and honor is absolutely ours. We're so fortunate to have you and Sachin. I mean, it's such an inspiring presence for us. So we're so grateful.
It's good to see you after a long time, ma'am.
I know. I mean, even though we are meeting in boxes like this, but hopefully, once things resume and, things start to open. But I think somehow some of these sessions probably will continue in the hybrid mode because I think the convenience of this is so much for everybody. Otherwise, we would not be able to meet Sachin from Oslo. So, yeah. What time is it there, Sachin, in Oslo?
Ma'am, it's 10:30 in the morning. So it's 4.5 hours of time.
Right. Yeah.
मैम मैं और जोहेब तो almost daily बात करते हैं. So it's
how nice.
It's something for us, not even work, So for us, it's just getting an opportunity to talk more.
Right.
In the context of this meeting, we may have to behave. And we may have to
no. We
more sense.
We would want it to be as casual as you guys are. So yeah.
Zohaib is my go-to advisor guy. So whenever I think of something, I will call him.
Right.
So although he is my junior, but he's senior in terms of giving advice.
Right, of course.
So this is, all of us are part of a mutual admission society at Jamia. So everybody who comes out of Jamia, we are trying to support each other and do whatever is possible. So
True.
We have Saf sir as well. Hello, Saf sir.
Sachin, I was for a week in Tromsø trying to chase the northern lights, but we never could see it. But I'm thinking that you would have seen probably the northern lights already,
Ma'am, you are welcome again. Actually, when I was a student after Jamia, I studied in Finland.
Yeah, I know. Yes.
So that program, we had 5 countries. So Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, and Estonia. So I was 3 years back then in the Nordics. So this is my second stint. So I was in India for 10 years and then back here. So I was last year in Tromsø, not in the winters, but in the summers.
Yeah. Midnight sun. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So they do very good conferences. 2 conferences with University of Tromsø. One is called the Northern Lights.
Yeah.
And the other is called the Midnight Summer.
Midnight Sun. Yeah. But it's such a beautiful country, and the happiness index of all of these Scandinavian countries is so high. But when you're in a place like that, you're bound not to be unhappy. So, yeah.
Definitely. So should we start the program, man?
Yeah, sure. So,
if you have any instructions for us,
no.
Instructions are not this.
Not at all. Let me of course start by welcoming both you and Zohaib, Sachin and Zohaib to Jamia. And we are, like I was saying, that we are so fortunate that you have with us. It is such an honor and such a privilege that you are with us, and you're part of our IIC, and also as a mentor and as a guide, and not only the students who look up to you, but we also look up to you, because you're in the field. We are just mere teachers in Jamia, so for us, your words carry a lot of weight, and this session is really one of the most important sessions that we've planned, and the students and everybody is very excited. And so I would request everybody to keep themselves muted, and this program will be conducted by Dr. Saif Siddiqui, who teaches at the Center for Management Studies here at Jamia. He's also the IIC convener. So over to you, Saif Saab. And I can't thank you enough, Sachin and Zohaib. I'm so grateful, really, so grateful.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for the introductory talk. Actually, as the participants are aware, like for the last few weeks, we are continuously organizing these type of events, and we are inviting all the great people, celebrity speakers, and all. They are really related with the field of entrepreneurship, and and I'm personally also enjoying the talks that have been delivered in the last few weeks. So I think, as Sachin Saab just mentioned, Mr. Zohaib is the advisor of Sachin Saab. So can we invite Zohaib Saab first for the talk? Zohaib Saab? So, ma'am, I'm audible.
Yes,
sir.
Okay, that's fine. So, Simi ma'am,
maybe you see everybody knows Zohaib and we know Zohaib, but maybe for the others you can just say a few words about Zohaib Saab before he speaks.
Okay, yes, ma'am. I will be doing that, ma'am. So already we are aware, so I just forgot. There are a number of participants are there, so participants should know about the speaker a bit. So Zohaib Saab completed his BTech from Jamia Islamia, so he's one of us. And in 2007, he completed his BTech in Electronics and Communication, and he did his MBA because again, MBA plus engineering is it is a deadly combination. So in 2009, he completed his MBA from FMS. He has worked as an investment banker in the private equity with JP Morgan, MAV Advisory, and the Casa Capital. He ran his own e-commerce startup. It's very good. It's called Shop at Places for almost 5 years. After exiting from Shop at Places, after exiting from Shop at Places, where I worked at APJ Satya Group. Now, I think moving towards academics. As the CEO of their educational vertical, where he helped them expand in UAE, Malta, and other different countries, including Mauritius, Canada, and other countries. He has recently joined Leap Scholar and Leap Finance as the VP of International Expansion. And he will be building Leap in Southeast Asia and the Middle East. And he's a very active angel investor also. He has already invested in 39 startups so far. So sometime we will also invite him about the basic ROI of this investment if he is not treating that confidential. So certainly we'll be inviting him in for that also. So again, Zohaib Saab, please aap dekhiye. So certainly we are looking forward that we will be having a very interactive session with Zohaib Saab and then with Sachin Saab. Thank you very much. Please.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you, Simi ma'am. Good to see you again after a long time. Happy to meet all the current students and of course I keep talking to Sachin sir. He's one of my seniors from Jamia. So I was in the electronics and communication batch of 2007, and Sachin sir used to be in the computer science batch. I believe that was 2005. So we have kept in touch for quite some time now. In the morning, I was thinking that it's been what? So I joined the campus in 2003. So I felt old in coming to the campus today. I realized that it has been almost 19 years since I joined the campus. You generally don't think in terms of these years, but then when your alma mater calls you back, then you realize that, okay, you are actually getting old and you have to get on and do more stuff. I was talking to Sachin and Shiraz Saab earlier, and what we have thought of is we will obviously share our stories with everybody, and that was just to meet everybody in this space. And then later on, we would be happy to answer any and actually all the questions that students would have. So we would want to keep it as discussion oriented as possible. Sachin Saab, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to add anything more, Zoeb, so I'm totally with you. And like you said, we have to make it as friendly as possible. So treat us like you would treat any one of your peers. So I think we learn from you and you learn from us. So that's the way it is. And I think, Zoeb, we were thinking to make it a conversational style, Dr. Saab, if that is okay with you.
Yes, sir. Please. I think that would be better for all of us, sir.
Right. So before the conversation starts, maybe for the sake of the students, because I mean, Sachin's story is also so inspirational, like Zoeb Saab. So maybe if one can also introduce him. And already Zoeb Saab has already told us that he was in computer science in 2005, but the rest of his journey can also be probably spoken about.
Yes, so Sachin Gosab, the serial entrepreneur, technical advisor. He's a double masters in mobile security and cryptography from Aalto University, Finland, and the University of Tartu, Estonia. He has been a keen technology innovator with 10 technology patents granted at USPTO. He has also contributed chapters in 3 books on innovation and healthcare, so that's very academic. And he received top 10 Innovators Award in India under IIGP 2013 and attended Global School of Business, Stanford University, USA as an awardee. So a great mix of, I think, experience and academics. He has been actively supporting startups and invested in 10 startups in deep tech and internet space. So again, a venture capitalist, academician, overall experienced in maybe 2 or 3 different countries, studied from 2-3 different countries. So I think he's again, we will certainly be looking forward to learn a lot from him. And he's a continuous visitor to the university in online programs like, Vincent. So Sachin sir, really welcoming you. तो देखिए अब कैसे से सेशन चलता है हम लोगों का. So we are looking forward.
Yes. So whosoever wants to speak, I don't know, maybe they can raise hand. And I was thinking, maybe just to break the ice, I'll ask maybe some questions to Zoeb. Although Zoeb, if you have a difference of opinion, you can, disagree with me. So I was just wondering, Zoeb, if you can share a bit, both of us have been entrepreneurs ourselves, and the topic of the conversation today is, how to link investors with entrepreneurs. So when you were entrepreneur, maybe you can start sharing by, what led you to leave your cushy job and start shop at places, and how was that journey, in terms of finding investors, for example, or any lessons that you learned from that state?
Sure, Sachin. So my journey actually started in 2012, and you already know, but a lot of people would not know that I did this venture with one of my Jamia friends, same classmate, Sharfur Rahman. So I and Sharfur studied together in electronics. Then what we realized, I was working at JP Morgan at that time. Sharfur was working at Cadbury's. What we realized was that there are a lot of e-commerce players which were coming on in India at that point of time, but nobody was focused on the actual produce of India, which is done by artisans which is done by locally manufactured factories, and so on and so forth. So what we thought is that, and this is a large market outside India as well. There have been companies, unicorns, as well as listed companies which have done pretty well. Etsy being one of them, quite a large company, and we realized that somebody has to do it for India as well. This, so we actually had two ideas at that point of time. This was a difficult idea. So we said, okay, if we are able to do this, then the learning that we would have would be much more massive than the other idea that we had. So we started doing this. We created something, a platform, and initially it was only two of us, me and Sharfur, and we used to work from the servant quarters of Sharfur's home. That is where we created our warehouse. And idea was that, reach out to different parts of countries. So we started with Kanpur. We visited factories over there. We started getting Kanpur leather belts and leather wallets, and we started retailing it on our website. But what we quickly realized, and this is a learning which I wanted to share with everybody, is that ideally either the average order value has to be very high, so as to justify the kind of marketing that one does, and then to acquire the customer. So there could be different terms, and obviously students read about them. There's a term called as customer acquisition cost, but it's very simply what is the amount of money that you're spending to get one customer. And what we realized was that people were willing to pay around 499, 599 rupees for one wallet, but not beyond that. And similarly for belts. So it was still okay because we were getting orders at 100 rupees, 120 rupees, plus we had good margins. We were working directly with the factories. We did not work with any middlemen. So it was fine. But then what we realized with the second point which comes in is that the repeat rate is lower in such categories. So you would not want a belt or a wallet again year on year, plus the kind of produce that we are getting were very high quality.
So I remember
would not last even for 5 years.
I gave you a call at that time, and around that time we were doing social media marketing, and I asked you this question, that how do you acquire your customer? And I remember you mentioned that you don't want to spend more money than your profit in the single product. And I think what you mentioned was the word which we all know as unit economics. And I think building a good venture, unit economics is key. I think gone are the days when people were not looking for profitable ventures. Today, people want to invest in profitable ventures, right? So can you also elaborate a bit more on unit economics?
Sure, happy to do so. Sachin sir and everybody, what we knew from the start was that we did not have any funding. So it was only my and Sharfur's bonuses which we had sort of put in the firm. We had not taken from our friends and family as well. So for us, every order had to be profitable. There was no option as such. We did not have VC money. We did not have angel money. Nothing was there. And we had to run the entire operations ourselves. That means paying ourselves, paying the warehouse cost. Obviously, that was initially we were working from his home, but then later on we opened an office in near to college again, Sukhdev Vihar. So we were over there. And then, so in terms of unit economics, it's very simple. If you take one order and maybe you're getting 1,000 rupees as revenue for that order, there are various costs which are associated. Some of them are variable costs, some of them are fixed costs. For example, the first cost, which is a fixed cost, is let's go back to our wallets example. The cost of goods sold, cost of every wallet is a fixed cost to me. Let's assume that's maybe 400 rupees. So what is left to me after reducing my cost of goods sold is the gross profit. And sometimes it's called as a GP. So GP would become 600 rupees in this case. After it, what happens is that I have to pay a lot of other variable costs. For example, I have to pack it. I have to deliver it. I have to do marketing for it. I have to pay the payment gateway and so on and so forth. All these costs are also supposed to be, they are being used to deliver this one order to the customer. And then ideally, so this is the second, these are the direct variable costs which you can build. So let's assume that I am spending another 300 rupees in it. So my gross profit removing my variable cost, now I'm left with 300 rupees. Now in that 300 rupees, now I have to pay the cost of a person who is packing, the cost of a person who is checking and sending the data to the courier company. And finally, the courier company is delivering this. But what also happens is that we have to think in terms of what can go wrong. So a customer might not be willing to take the order when he receives it, or the customer might say, okay, this I do not like it. I saw it in the website over there. I liked it. Now I don't like it. He or she might return that order. So that contingent cost also has to be built in. Obviously, we have to see that maybe 5% or 6% of returns come. So that cost comes in, and whatever is left after removing all these costs, that should be my profit for per order. So that's how we define it for our business. But then for every business, it's different. But the core components remain the same: revenue, gross profit, and net profit.
What you have covered here is, let's say, specific to a lot of processes here to e-commerce, right? And definitely, maybe I'll ask you more questions, but just to draw some lessons here, I think when you are today investing in a business, and if somebody comes to you, let's say I come to you and present a business, and if I show it to you that I'm getting decent amount of orders for my product and I am good with my unit economics, so maybe that's a green light to you in terms of looking at my investment proposal favorably.
Of course, Sachin. So that's one of the leading indicators that there are people who are willing to first place orders with you, and they do not want things for free. They want to pay for it. So that means that you are actually solving a problem for them. It's a valuable problem. And then obviously they have looked at the substitutes because people do not want to part with their money before the time they have done, comparison. And if that has happened, then at least we know that you are executing. So now if you have done that, if you have unit economics which are working, then you also have, as you mentioned, that you are growing year on year, sort of. Then we could look at maybe traction after that. Then we could also see what kind of competitors are there in the market, what kind of team do you have, what would you need to grow this business further. So as you rightly mentioned, it's a good leading indicator.
But sometimes it may be possible that people are a bit early in this journey and they have not yet figured out their unit economics, So what would you consider, what would be the advice for such teams, number one? Or what would you evaluate this team on, if you were to invest? Because some people can just come at an idea stage. Somebody may have a product but not yet had enough customers to recover their fixed cost out of it. So as you know, if the volume is more, maybe per product the cost is going down in that sense of fixed cost. So what would you evaluate the business in that case?
Sure. Sachin, here what I'll do is I'll take a step back, and I would love to share with the entire quorum as to what all things I look at personally, and then would take your feedback on the same, because in that case we are just not talking about e-commerce or transactional business. We are talking about all businesses. Could be at different levels as well. Some could be at idea stage, some could be Series A, and so on and so forth. For me personally, the most important part of the business is the team, which includes the founders, which includes the other core members of the team. And the reason I look at is because these new companies that we work with, which are sometimes called as startups, but I just call them companies, they have to iterate very fast because there are always incumbents in the markets who are very large. So ideally, what you have to do is you have to cater to the customers much better than the other existing players in the market. Sometimes the solutions are unique. Sometimes what you are doing is you are just incrementally adding on to your competitive advantage. Now that can only be done if the team is really strong and if the team is receptive to feedback. So these are the two core elements I understand on the founders and the team sides. Then I also try and understand the business stage, as you already discussed about that. Is there a product market fit? So when you are saying that number of orders are increasing, there is repeat rate, the cohorts are at a good pace. We also see whether the pre-sales, it's just pre-sales or the sales has started. If it's the sales have started, are they meaningful sales, or it's just very lumpy sales that maybe you're just selling to government, you get maybe one order in a year, and then you have to depend on the government for more cash flows. So which can be horribly late sometimes. Not saying that those are not good businesses. There have been unicorns which have been built in this space, but for early stage investing, we have to think in those terms. And ideally, what we also try and understand is what is the market size for the offering. And this, I believe, is the second component of my skill set, and what I also try and see. And I believe that this is also looked at by a lot of VCs and angel investors. And I would even say that if you are an entrepreneur yourself, or you are planning to start something, then you should always look at the market. In terms of market, it's very simple, that you look at what kind of customers would be there, what is the wallet size of those customers, what is the share of wallet that you would be getting from those customers, and will it be increasing, will they be talking about you, and so on and so forth. So this helps you, in short, define the total market. Some of the businesses are very good, but I would not, for example, invest in them. For example, if you are running a bakery and you are giving out good products, and you have a lot good customers, maybe 1,000 customers, and they're ordering every month at least a cake with you or a pastry or anything. The reason is the distribution is not there in this case, and you are limited to a particular locality. You might be, opening up more centers, you might be opening up more bakeries, but that would require a lot of investment. Plus, the scaling up of quality is an issue, is generally what we have seen. So I would say team in that case. Second is the market. And wherever I'm boring, Sachin, just let me know so that I'll cut back. Then obviously.
No, definitely I will keep interrupting. So sure. I'll also take the liberty of being senior. I can always
yeah.
help you whenever I want.
Yeah.
So
that's helpful. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I was thinking, just to make it a bit more personal. So when you were at Shop at Places, did you not at all approach investors, or did you?
Sure. So we were bootstrapped for 2.5 years, wherein we had not raised any funds from anybody. After 2.5 years, we reached out to, actually Indian Angel Network reached out to us because we were getting a lot of press coverage. The reason we were getting press coverage was ours was a unique idea.
Was it the Outlook magazine cover?
Yeah, that helped. That helped. Plus, there are a lot of good platforms out there. So Tie the Knot, the Indus Entrepreneurs Network is there. So if somebody's, any of our student friends are trying to think of, then Indian Angel Networks is good. The Indus Entrepreneurs are good. So those are good platforms. So we actually went on the Tie, and then we won the competition over there, and that helped us a lot. What I would also recommend to everybody is that if you have a business plan and you're already going to business plan competitions, that also helps at a student level, because you get both funds to build your product, plus you get a lot of feedback, which is much more valuable than the funds. That is something we did not do, but I would recommend anybody, any student who's trying to do, definitely look at business plan competitions. These keep on happening across colleges.
So one thing I see, Zohaib, maybe it's a thesis of mine. One time I was trying to build this mobile app, and I was in the hinterlands of India, and I saw that if you talk to a rural woman, her phone would not have any contacts. If you talk to the village sarpanch, that lady would have 50 contacts. An average city dweller has 500 contacts. And let's say my LinkedIn has some 5,000, 6,000 contacts, and I'm sure you have more than me. So there is this inherent advantage or disadvantage that people have, where they are located and what is their network, right? So in this time and space where a student is in Jamia, right? How can they maximize their chances of interfacing with a person who can help them? If it was you instead of them, how could you maximize your chances of creating this serendipitous or planned interactions with people that they can gain from?
Sachin sir, this I would actually ask from you. Reason is you did 2 startups earlier. And I don't know whether everybody knows about this or not, but if you can also tell us about the 2 startups that you did, that's number one. And secondly, I would try and understand from you the same question, that if I was in Jamia today, what would you advise me to do?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, but if I was in Jamia today, definitely I will build $1 billion company right in the college. That's for sure, right? So I think we sometimes look for education or working at companies for validation that we are capable. But I think we are living in the times where self-learning is so powerful that no more we need those kind of external validations. Of course, we do need experience, we do need knowledge, but I think we have the tools, and the people at Jamia, they just need the right orientation, and they can build unicorns right in the college. Because what we have in the college is really amazing, is time. What we have in college is people we partner with, right? So we spend night outs. We may be spending all that time in the fun activities. We have done that. So we represented, when I was in Jamia, we represented college at the national level in BBC program called as University Challenge. So we were doing quizzing, back then. And I remember we were winning maybe 20, 25 competitions in a year when we were college. So that, because we used to buy butter chicken from the money that we will get from the prize, right? So our goals were really small, right? So if we could spend so much time and energy winning those competitions, I'm sure we could also, if we had the right orientation, we could have also spent time building ventures. So I think that's one thing. And what is lacking in that environment, I would say, is what Professor Anil Gupta says, that empathy towards solving a problem. So you wanted to solve a problem. Let's say I wanted to solve a problem. So coming back to my startups, when I came back to India in 2010, my first thing was that I wanted to build this like social pages for businesses. And we tried that experiment. It didn't work. So we converted the company very quickly into a social media marketing company. So we were trying to partner with Facebook. And then when I was doing my master's, I was trying to, design a phone that people who cannot read and write use. Because my inspiration was my mother, because my mother till date doesn't have a phone. And I was always thinking why internet has to be a place where only literate people can participate, because power of networking that internet provides, is amazing. And that's why, I was spending my time. So somebody from UK contacted me that they wanted to make a documentary, that if I can build a tool for India where people who cannot read and write, collaborate and connect the way people in cities do. So we built a mobile app which was called Mobile Harvest, and we gave it to UN Women. So actually the head of UN Women saw our work in the movie, and then she said, can you build this for us? And then we did it in Telangana, and then the Prime Minister also launched the app back then in Gujarat. So it was also given to health workers. So I realized that I was probably not exposed to real life problems when I was in college. So if Zohaib, had exposure, I could build that kind of empathy that I was doing in Mobile Harvest or in Mixor. Maybe that would have changed my orientation, and instead of chasing, other things, maybe which were not that meaningful, I could have chased solving a big problem. And even after that, I think maybe for last 15, 16 years, I've been trying to organize internships in Jamia every year. So in computer science department. So even today, I have an intern who's trying to work on AI in the IVF space, for example. So I try to give, always a concrete problem statement. I remember in 1 year in Jamia, we were trying to build this solution that you punch in a website in your mobile app, and it can create a marketing video of that website. And the students were more or less successful in building that, during the summer internship. So I think we can build companies like Google or other big tech companies if we have the right orientation there. Now coming to the second part of the question, I value a lot of informal networking. So let's say why
I agree.
I know a lot of people that I should not be knowing is because I have an attitude of doing voluntary work. And for example, Professor Anil Gupta from IIM Ahmedabad. So I read his or looked at his work, And then I contacted him when we were making this film for Mobile Harvest, and he put in touch me with some good innovators which were President Awardee in Telangana. So I always have a habit, that okay, if I want to do something, I will make sure to reach out to the person. So reading books help there, because books are so cheaply available these days. So if you want to acquire knowledge on anything, you can just buy it, right? And for example, last year I was reading about AlphaFold, which is a big breakthrough in science. So I was reading a book by Venki Ramakrishnan, who is a Nobel Prize winner. So I wrote to Venki and he wrote back to me. So I've been extremely lucky that, when I read a book, I always able to get a response from the author. And sometimes this kind of, planned interventions, they lead into some very successful examples. So I remember when I came to India for the first time, the first thing I did was went to Chennai. I didn't know anybody in Chennai. But in Chennai, they were doing a TEDx program. And there I met a person who was running the rural technology business incubation program in IIT Madras. It was quite successful. It was by Professor Jhunjhunwala. And this person who was doing the program, he invited us that, okay, we are doing a coffee meetup. Can you come in the evening? So I was in the evening there, and there was a young guy who was sitting next to us. He said, okay, he has come recently from Y Combinator. I didn't know what Y Combinator was. And this guy was Girish. And he was telling us that, okay, he's trying to build a company called as Fresh Desk, and maybe it can become something big. So now we know that, of course, it's a stock market company, right? But I have been super lucky meeting people ahead of time before they became big. So I would say it is always this curiosity that doesn't constrain me in visiting places or talking to people, because I'm just normally interested in that topic, not just because I'm chasing something. But I think it's about that how can you open your wings when you are a student. I remember when I was in 12th class in Jamia, I complained to the vice chancellor that we don't have good library. And the vice chancellor said, okay, we will give you the best teachers. So he fixed us with Sami sir from physics department. And I was stupid, so I asked Sami sir some questions, fundamental questions on atoms, that why the atom is not collapsing and so on and so forth. So he sent me to a conference on space. So every year, every person in that conference, I remember, was 60 years old or more. So I remember always my questions landed me, into some places where probably I didn't belong. But I would say that, maybe I was brave enough or, courageous enough to ask those questions. So at least to me, that has been one approach, that how do you help others, number one, and how do you stay curious? And you never know that maybe in 10 years down the line, you will know, okay, one of my intern, for example, who I hired, he was from Shahid Shukdev. Apparently, it's a good college. And after doing internship with me, he went to another company. And so he said, sir, this person wants to meet you. So I went there and to meet this guy, and found him a bit eccentric because he was taking out his shoes outside his office. And this guy's name was Ritesh. So he was probably 19 years old then, and he was building the company Oyo. And I didn't know that he's going to build Oyo, right? But what we shared was a common intern. So in that sense, I found that, time and again, I have found a lot of people who cross paths just because maybe I'm not able to articulate it better. But I would say there's a lot of power in informal networking, which is, just being with the right people at the right time. I think you get exposure to a lot of opportunities on your own. Sorry for the long.
No, that was very helpful. Thanks a lot. I'll tell you what my key learnings are from your 2 minutes just now. One is idly be building something or the other. Could be trying to solve a problem which you already do, or somebody else is trying to solve a problem, and then you work with them to try and solve the problem. Second is be reading because reading is, as you mentioned, books are so cheap and knowledge is available. So if the more we read, the better we become as humans. And third is these three combined together, and not being shy about reaching out and talking to people definitely should help in the informal networks. No, so I think these are my key learnings from your 2 minutes. In fact, we are getting a lot of questions in the chat as well. Would you want to take this question? So Mohammed Samir is asking, in the initial days, an entrepreneur is looking for an investment, then what should they avoid when making a deal? Sachin, what would you say to this?
Yeah, number one, maybe I would not like to dilute a lot. And number two, I would not want to just take money. So if somebody is coming with money and they want to take control, maybe it's a red flag for me. Maybe somebody is coming with money, but also providing leverage, So like you said, distribution is very hard problem. So if they are bringing their money, but they're also bringing a channel for me to distribute my product, maybe, that's the kind of investor I would want. So I would say a pure money investor, or somebody looking to take a lot of stake in my company, is something that will be a bit, I have to be careful. So maybe you know better, Zohaib, on this, but this is my thesis here.
I agree with the points. So ideally, and I can tell you from my own journey that initially when we got funding from Angel Network, we gave out only 8.33% because we were already profitable and growing month on month. But what also helped was the advice and mentorship we got from Indian Angel Network took us into a different path. So that these are 2 points which I agree with. What I also look at is if the people, how much are they willing to work with you? Sometimes they just come in and it's passive money, which is also fine. But then sometimes they are willing to work on the tech side with you, on the distribution side, on the brand side, and so on and so forth. And during the early stages of a startup, those are very helpful. So Murtaza, hopefully, Samir, sorry, hopefully that would have answered your question. But if it does not have, please feel free to put in the chat again if you want to even put on your mask and talk to us. We are happy to do so. Then one question we have from Aryan. Again, Sachin, I'm throwing this one at you because you have been doing this for quite some time. How do I identify a problem and devise a business strategy to solve it? How do you identify problems?
So maybe my answer could be a bit different, Aryan, here. So I normally want to solve problems which are my own personal problems. My car got stolen in 2017, and I was speaking to Delhi police, and I was quite unhappy with their response because I knew the top man in Delhi police. And they said, if your car is stolen and if you are delayed by 6 hours, it will be, cut open into parts in Meerut. So today we, for example, monitor all the traffic in Delhi Meerut Expressway. You give me the car's number and we'll give you the footage of the car. So this was a problem which bothered me, and we have solved it, So if you see it from that perspective, identifying a problem sometimes, like Professor Gupta says, that you need संवेदना. अब अभी हम रोड पे चलते हैं, बहुत सारे लोग मर रहे होते हैं, nobody stops, because it doesn't bother us. हम संवेदनशील नहीं है उस चीज के लिए. तो अभी मेरे को 3 साल पहले डायबिटीज diagnosed hua. So I became very conscious about my health. So I could reverse my diabetes condition. So now I invest a lot in companies which are around diabetes. So I would say for me, starting point is that look around yourself and do not be tolerant. If you are tolerant, then you will let the problem be the way it is. I didn't want to tolerate the problem that my mother is not connected to internet. So I wanted to build a company which can solve that. I am not tolerant that the car is stolen in Delhi and police cannot do anything about it. So we solved this problem. I'm not tolerant that a lot of people in India have diabetes. So we will solve this problem. So for me, these are, very strong emotional responses. And for me, whenever a problem is presented to me, which I have a stake in it, the best idea I have is to start a company to solve that problem. And I have learned that if I don't have to do a company, then maybe I'll start a limited time project, because I think, a market linked approach to solve a problem, which is to by building a company, is the most sustainable way to address a problem. So for me, that's my response. Maybe you can disagree or make it even better. So
Sure. The way I look at it is there are so many problems to solve, but ideally there are some problems which are a subset of these, which are very important for these customers or these different segments. So ideally, if you have a problem, you should also look at is what kind of impact does that problem have, and how much uh, would will the person be okay with your solution? Would the person be delighted with your solution? So it's better to have maybe 10,000 people who just love and adore you, and they will become your brand ambassadors, rather than having 1 lakh customers and for them you're just an okay product. So from what I understand, and this has been my learning as well, that have a small segment of people who love and adore you. That community drives you, and that is something which say Nuhi was also asking in the chat, and I would link my answer to that. Nuhi was asking, only finance is important during brand making, during initial stage to start new startup. So I had written to her that no, that is not true. What is true is content which you are putting out. What is true is the community which you are building, and both of these things help in the commerce part, which is why you see a lot of D2C companies coming up. But then a D2C company, for example, which is giving out beautiful glasses, and you just use them once and that's okay, is an okay company. But then if you have a company which is creating specific glasses for children, and when they have difficulties in wearing specs and they are quite young, and if they are using different kind of products which are better for their skin, and if they feel happy with it, then I would say that they are catering to a much better audience, which are children. Parents would be paying anything to make sure that the children are comfortable, and those glasses would be helpful. So these 2-3 things, content, community, and putting your story out there generally helps. Sachin, we have more questions in the chat. Do you want to pick up any more?
Yeah, definitely. So maybe I can have a look. So maybe you are already kind of combining some answers, but you have been very active. I can see writing in the chat. So maybe I'm slow at this. So I think Bharat has this question: how can we financially sustain during initial stages of business/startup? In a way, you already gave the answer about unit economics. That was your own personal story. But do you want to complement this further?
Sure, Sachin. So Sachin sir and Bharat, what I would say is there are 3 ways a company gets funding. First way the company gets funding is from your own customers. When your customers are buying your products and every order is adding on to your profits, that helps. And there have been companies which have just bootstrapped, never raised any equity, never raised debt. Sachin sir, you want to go ahead?
So I was just trying to complement that today there are websites like Indiegogo, Kickstarter, where you don't have to dilute any equity. You want to build a fantastic product, you can publish your idea there, and people will sign up if they like your idea. So like Zohaib said, your customers, prospective customers, can actually fund the product that you want to build. And I see this is becoming very much popular, and especially Zohaib is a big fan of Web3. And I think this Web3 phenomena is going to put more and more power in the hands of creators, that you can just, crowdsource your money through your potential customers.
No, sir, I think, no, sir, very well put. In fact, what I was saying is that you are making money from actual customers, and you went back and a level and said that you can make money from potential customers, and you're not giving them any equity or anything. So that is 100% true. What I would also recommend is that there are grants by governments, which are obviously helpful. There are financial aids which are available. So there are a lot of business plan competitions which are there, which we talked about initially. And those, if you win them, you get both advice plus mentorship, plus you get funding for your startup. But then, or for a later stage startups, I would suggest obviously the money that you're raising from customers. Plus, now there is revenue-based financing, which is also available. That if you have revenue, then there are companies which exist, which will give you loans on the basis of that. That sort of becomes your working capital. In that case, for example, if I am making a sale of 100 rupees today, I'm supposed to get that money in my account in 30 days. Then in between, I have to make expenses, and this revenue-based financing definitely helps. And then obviously, people can still not many people not do it, but then you can also reach out to banks and NBFCs. And if your model is inherently profitable, but you need working capital, that is much better strategy than trying to raise equity. For equity, obviously there's first friends and family, and there are angel investors, and then there are VC investors. But VCs generally invest in only those startups which can grow into $1 billion venture. Sachin, would you want to add on anything?
Yeah, I think Zoeb, this topic deserves maybe a bigger lecture from your side, which is going into specifics, because I think a lot of people who come not from a financial background like yourself, probably they can get helped a lot by understanding the specifics, because I'm sure a lot of people don't even know what a seed round means or what a Series A round means, and how does a term sheet look like, and what is a convertible note. So I think there's a lot of jargon out there which you can help people understand. Maybe this could be a request to Dr. Saif and Professor Simi, that maybe something that they could consider in future, because I think a lot of this terminology is not accessible to normal students. Maybe that is an imposition on your time, but I'm sure you will
100%. I have learned everything that I know, and my alma mater has been Jamia, and all the networks that I have. So even I was counting today morning, out of 16 friends I had in Jamia who were from my class, 9 of them have either run their own startups or running their own startups. Those are people like Rakib, Faisal, Azam, and you can just count them from 2007, only electronics batch. So what I know is that every year from Jamia, lot of startups are coming out, and the numbers are increasing. The quality of startups is becoming better and better, and we are happy to help in any way possible, because we learned from Jamia, and now even in 1% we can help, then that's definitely 100% what we should do. I'm taking one more question, Sachin sir, before we go ahead.
There is a question from Murtaza, if you can cover that first. He was asking,
while preparing a pitch,
things you want to see in the pitch. Correct.
Sure. So Murtaza, I have already written it in the chat just now, but I'll explain to you what I mean. So if you have your own startup, ideally first thing which investors would want to know is who is doing it. That is the team. And you should talk about what is the pedigree of the team. By pedigree, I mean where you have studied, how do you know this problem exists, have you experienced it yourself, how are you solving it, and so on and so forth. So that gives them some sort of idea. People are not investing in companies, people are investing in other people. And if they associate with you, they will definitely go ahead. Second is the corporate governance or structure, in the sense that how many people are there, who owns what kind of equity, are they co-founders, are they not co-founders? If they are co-founders, what are they doing? Do you already have an advisory board in place? Do you have other advisors, other investors already? So this is something which company investors look at it in detail. Third thing is obviously business stage, which says whether your product is ready. And Murtaza, I understand that you're talking about a seed one. So most probably an MVP or a minimum viable product should have been there. You should have at least gone to the market and gotten feedback about it. If you would have got some paid customers, then why did they pay you? So that would have definitely been helpful. Then obviously you should be talking about the market as such, as to how large is the market, who is the competition, and so on. Sometimes questions like this will come to you that, okay, this is something which Google can do. But if Google is not doing it, then obviously there is a reason behind it. They are large companies and they do not focus on small problems which can be solved much better by focused entrepreneurs. And then ideally, you should also mention what is the current fundraise which you want to do and where do you want to deploy it. For example, you could be thinking in terms of brand building, you could be thinking in terms of hiring a team, you could be thinking in terms of tech platform and so on. And ideally, this is not required the last point of exit, but then if you have some idea as to who may want to acquire this company later on, or can it actually become that large that it can become a self-sustaining business on its own, these were the things I would actually look at, and these are the things I put in my investment decks as of now. Sachin sir, you want to add anything?
No, I think I'm fine. I mean, in my perspective, of course, I'm not looking at all the pitches, and I am sure when I speak to Zohaib, he's also not looking at all the pitches all the time, because he also has a strong filter. I also have a strong filter, so I kind of decide the topics that I understand. Let's say if it is deep tech, like I mentioned, diabetes or diagnostics, for example. So I want to contribute in those places from my personal perspective where I have leverage. So if you are also reaching out to investors, I would say that, okay, pitch deck could be complete in itself, but you should also target those people who are relevant to that. Otherwise, you may not get a very good response. So if you are able to match make really well that, okay, this is my problem statement and this is an authority in this problem area, or this person is quite relevant, I think then you will, even if you don't get funding, you'll get very good feedback from that person. There would be something to learn. So
that's very helpful, Sachin sir.
Do you want to take any more questions, Zohaib?
Sir, I have one question for you, which I'm picking from chat. It is from Syed Maaz Hassan. Syed wants to know that his prototype is ready. Would you recommend investing or bootstrapping for it, and how much money is involved in the initial testing of products?
I think, Maaz, you need to be a bit more concrete here, because what is a prototype? Is it a rocket for ISRO, or is it something like a web, browser testing tool? Because if it is something linked with IT, maybe you don't need a lot of money to test it, right? If it is something linked with hardware, you need to 3D print or you need to source components, maybe you need money. So I would say it is possible to bootstrap if you are doing a SaaS kind of a company, because you can, if it's a consumer related product, you can even test with friends and family. And, there are specific accelerators. For example, I know one, which one of my friend has invested in Bangalore. I'm forgetting its name, but it's quite famous, Upaya, or would you know, Zohaib? It's a SaaS accelerator in Bangalore.
I've heard from you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So there are such places where you can actually work with them if it is a SaaS thing. So maybe Sayed, you can type in the chat what exactly the product is about. So if you think it needs hard money, then definitely there is no. But if it needs more time, then maybe money can bring more resources in terms of human resources for you. But if you think you can do without it, maybe bootstrap.
Sure. So I would want to add on to what you said. I would say three most important things are time, talent, and money for any company, any organization. So if you are low on time, then the kind of talent that you are able to attract, if that is happening, then the company will suffice. But then what can also happen is that it's not necessary that every company becomes a unicorn in 5, 7, 10 years. You could be running a company and it could be there for 20, 25 years, and then it would be growing into a large company. So that's also possible. What I'm also doing is I'm sending a link in the chat, which tells how other companies have been able to bootstrap and grow. And when we say bootstrap, just for everybody's, since I use a lot of terms without thinking that students know it or not, bootstrap means you are not raising any external funding. So companies need money. You're not raising money from, or not getting money from outside. You are just putting your own funds, or you are helping, your customers are paying for it. So that is something which is called as bootstrap.
Right. I think there are a lot of questions still coming, but I have like one last thing that probably I would like to share here. That when I went to study in Finland, it was a university called as Helsinki University of Technology, which is later changed now to Aalto University. And it was very depressing time in Finland because Nokia was going down, so around 2009-10. The mood was really, really sad. And the students decided that they will build an entrepreneurship society. So we built something called as Aalto Entrepreneurship Society. Aalto Entrepreneurship Society did one thing, which was that it's a student elected thing, that students will run the show. And student built a platform called a Slush. Today, Slush is world's most important startup event. So around 30,000 investors come to Helsinki in the dark gray winter months. And I have seen that whosoever became a volunteer in AES, they have built multi-billion-dollar companies. So at least I know 5 companies which have come out of this Alto Entrepreneurship Society, and they were all somehow presidents of this Alto Entrepreneurship Society. So I believe a lot in student power. And I think if students decide, nobody can stop them from doing anything. I remember we were writing a book on China, and I went to Shanghai for that with my professor. And around the same time, one of the students at Alto decided that he also wants to go to World Expo, which was happening in China that year. But instead of going alone, he decided to rent a train from Helsinki. So he took a train from Helsinki to Shanghai. And he converted that train journey into a conference. So they did a 7-day conference on a train. And you can still check out that website. It's called Alto on Tracks. So the next year, students wanted to beat that thing. So they took a ship next year to Brazil. That was called Alto on Waves. So I can keep telling you so many crazy stories, from Linus Torvalds building Linux out of university, to somebody building MySQL, to somebody building Angry Birds. And I think if we just start trusting our own abilities, we can do it in Jamia, and we can build those unicorns right there in Jamia. So that's what I believe, because we are lucky that professors are organizing this kind of a meeting. Ideally, you guys should self-organize, and you should do it. And if, like Zohaib is saying, that there are so many startups coming out, so why don't we have all of them at one place? Why don't we have a community which is student-driven? And the day we make things in Jamia which are student-driven, because I'm sure, like Zohaib is always busy doing things in FMS. I have seen he does a lot of webinars. So why can't we have a similar culture in Jamia? That's what we need. That's my last remark, Zohaib.
No, thanks a lot, Sachin sir, and I completely agree with you. But what has also started happening is students are much sharper than at least what I was during my college days. They are already running their YouTube channels. They are already on GitHub. They are already creating their own companies and going about. So just the kind of questions which have been coming during this chat with Nuhi, Murtaza, Hamza, Umra, and everybody, I did not know what a co-founder was. So I believe that the future is in much safer hands than what it was initially. Plus, we have Professor Simi ma'am, Dr. Saif Saab, Dr. Mansaf Saab, Dr. Shiraz Saab, who are doing all of this. So I believe that it's the day is not far when we'll have not one, maybe many decacons from Jamia. And by the way, a lot of people from Jamia are doing very well. It's just that we are not connected. They are not connected back. So that is definitely there. Sachin sir, what I am also doing is I will just give one more example, and then I want to take up one question from the chat. The example is of, since we have been talking about MVP, which is minimum viable product, which says that you are investing the minimum amount of money, but you are checking whether the customers are happy with it or not. One example is of Dunzo. Dunzo is obviously now quite large, but initially when they started, they just created a WhatsApp group for it, that if you want to, deliver anything from anywhere in Delhi or Bangalore, then would you pay for it? And then they started getting orders from there, and obviously the tech and etc. was created later on. So you actually sometimes do not even need a tech product to go about it. Sachin sir, I am sending one question your way. Question is quite interesting. It's from Umra. She says, how important is a co-founder in initial stages, and what should we expect from them?
Yeah, definitely co-founder is very important. Entrepreneurship is a lonely journey. It can be also depressing for a lot of people. So if you have a shoulder to cry, why not? And that's why college is a beautiful place, because you can find people, who you can actually see that whether it will work out in the long term. Because having a co-founder is like a marriage. So as entrepreneurs, maybe in India it's still one marriage allowed, but we have so many marriages starting companies, because your co-founder is like your in many ways, sometimes you spend more time with them than your wife or husband, right? So you have to gel with them. In terms of picking your co-founder, one of my friend has a very interesting theory. So before he starts a company with someone, he wants to make a travel with them, because when you travel with someone, lot of things you get to know about the other person, because you don't have to know the other person in the comfort zone. You have to know the other person when there is discomfort, that how do they react? Do they blame you? Do they take responsibility and make it easy for you? So you can devise your own experiments by which you can test your compatibility. So you don't have to because many startups fail because when there is, fallout among the co-founders. But at the same time, I sincerely believe that in a team, not everyone is scalable, meaning as a person, as a leader. So if myself and Zohaib, we are going to start a company, I will have no ego issues saying that Zohaib, you become the CEO of the company. So
and vice versa.
So in that sense, sometimes people realize at a later stage that they are having different kind of expectations, and that may lead to a fallout. So it is important who your co-founder is. Please choose that carefully. And that is for both people, not just for you, right? Because the other person can also suffer. The second thing is complementary skills. For example, I'm not very good with the financial matters and those kind of topics. So I have no hesitance in calling Zohaib and asking him, यार इसका क्या कर सकते हैं, ये कैसे होगा, right? So it doesn't make me any lesser by acknowledging my own weaknesses. And a co-founder is to support you where your weakness is. And ideally, in a college-like setting, you may not find all complementary skills. Like in an engineering college, maybe all of them, you are engineers, maybe you need a business person. Maybe in a context like a business school, like Zohaib can find all kind of complementary skills, because a business school brings, various kind of backgrounds together, maybe not an engineering college. But at the same time, we are lucky in Jamia that if I want to solve a physics problem, the physics department is probably a, stone throw away, or if I want to solve a language problem, or if I want to solve. So I think what we have, maybe this is outside this question, but I think Jamia is also unique in that sense that Jamia can solve so many problems that no other institute can solve. We have world-class mass communication center. Why are we not building media companies, media tech companies? Because our engineering students do not study a course with mass communication. In Aalto University or any other university you take it, you can study any course in any department. So they have this kind of choice. And that leads to building cross-disciplinary teams. So if we want to promote more entrepreneurship in Jamia, we should have like one course where any department from any faculty can participate. And that will bring those different complementary skills together. And to answer this question of who your co-founder should be, it should be a complement to you, who makes like 2 + 2 as 22, not 3 or 4, right? So I can stop here, Zohaib. Sorry for a long answer.
I'll give you one quick answer from my side as well. Two of my friends, Faisal and Raqib, they are running their own companies for last 10 years. Raqib is a very technical person. He used to go to top coder from Jamia, while Faisal is more of a business-oriented person, and that's how I feel that they have this complementary skill set. If there are any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat, or even if you want, unmute yourself and ask. We are very happy to answer.
Zohaib, I have some query. I'm very happy to know you people from Jamia, and Jamia feel proud that Jamia alumni are doing very good. I have one query. Our students are talented. They have developed a product. That is usable. Now we want to bring this product in the market. How can gain trust of people that the people can use our product, because already our product are existing in the market. So how can build a trust among the people so that our product may be popular? In Innovation Center, when I was associated, I thought there is a product of Aligarh Muslim University, another Dimagin, another product from Jamia Hamdard, that is Ruafza. Similarly, we have also started some product in our center like Jamia Jal, but we fail to promote in the market, because we can promote in the market so people will attack with our product. We have also started so many ideas to develop a product. Being a computer science teacher, I'm working in the IoT. I have developed some devices and want to implement in the market. But major challenge is money, from where we can get the money. And another problem is how can you get the project funding from the other sources. So what are the way to get the project from the other company?
Sure, sir. Sachin sir, you want to take a go and then I will come in?
I was just writing what I've seen systematic interventions like, when I was working with the EU for last 6 years. So I was doing a lot of funding in various institutes. So IIIT Hyderabad was one place where I funded a center of excellence for IoT for smart cities. So what I've seen is that IIIT does an amazing job that every year they organize a demo day where they invite the industry and the society. Jamia is also embedded in a geography where there's a lot of population living nearby. So imagine somebody from Jamia is building a consumer product. How aware is the citizen of Okla that something has been developed in Jamia? Can we have a living lab in Jamia where we invite the civil society? Maybe they can leave a post-it and say what is their problem statement. So I have seen in Uppsala in Sweden, for example, they collect problems year-round. Then end of the year, they select which problem they should work upon. They give it to the researchers solve the problem. Then the incubation center is only looking for entrepreneurs that here is the problem, here is the solution, go and build the company. And Uppsala is world's third best incubator. In Aalto, we copied something from Stanford, which is called ME301 course, which is a product development program. And in Aalto, we have built every year tens of companies with this method, which is to source problem from the society, let the researchers and scientists solve the problem. And once it is there, let the technology transfer office, or the incubation office, let the entrepreneurs run the show. And this year, like last year in 2021, I was in Slush. So I visited University of Helsinki and I was so impressed. I believe at least one of those companies, it's going to be $100 billion company. And these are amazing ways of, building a research-driven society. The problem that I see, which is fundamental, whether you take IIT Delhi or Jamia, that how well connected we are to the civil society, because we always believe in building walls. And those walls do not let the ordinary people come in and participate in sharing their problem that we can solve.
Sir, I have a slightly different take on this. So I'll reach out to myself.
That's the beauty is right that we disagree most. So
mostly,
I like talking to you.
So, sir, for example, when you mentioned about say Jamia Jal, it's similar something. It's a beverage. I do not know much about that beverage, but what I know for sure is that I believe in three things. One is time, one is talent, one is money. So you have already invested time and you have built something. Now what is needed is the talent part of it. So ideally, if you are able to create some videos around it, those videos could be shared maybe starting from your family groups. Then I'm pretty sure you would have alumni groups, and maybe their alumni groups would have other people, and so on and so forth. if the video is really funny and it's actually showing how you are solving a problem, then that video will go viral. It has been done earlier as well. It's continued to being done. So around a week back, I will try and share the video with you as well while we are chatting during asking other questions. There is a person, he's in Punjab. He has created, for every cycle you can make into an electric cycle, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people on this webinar have also seen it. You've seen it? Okay. So we are spending more time on the similar places. We should spend some time elsewhere. So what's happening is, sir, that we have created this video, and which shows that you can just put in this equipment on the cycle. It becomes electric cycle. You no need to pedal now. It can run on its own. Plus the way this guy has built it, that you can throw water in it and so on and so forth. So it's more creativity and without any funding at all. So if storytelling comes in, that will help sell brand. Plus, but the most important thing I believe in, branding is one thing, but main thing is sales for me. So in that case, what I will do is I will just take, maybe have 1,000 of those, and then I'll go to each shop in Jamia. I'll talk to the shopkeeper and I'll tell him that, sir, ye hamara Jamia se bana hai. Why don't you keep it? And if you go in around Okhla, 90% of shopkeepers would have either studied from Jamia or they would have known somebody who is from Jamia. So it's a very nostalgic crack which easily comes. If they start stocking your products, maybe you can give out samples, etc., and you start saying that, okay, whatever you sell, you pay us after that. So there are these ways to do it. So this is how I would approach. Focus more on brand building first, which is more story, videos, etc. All of this is free, sir, these days. And then I believe in pure sales. So I should go there, talk to them, and I should get direct feedback from the customers, whether they like it, they don't like it. And then maybe JJ could be a brand, which could be $1 billion brand, who knows.
Thank you, Johab. Your idea is very nice. That means you are telling us to do the social media marketing for our product.
The social media, plus it helps you get direct feedback from the distribution, from the customers, and from people who are otherwise not in Jamia or not in Okhla. So I would do both the things, sir.
Great.
I think we have run out of questions. I think we have bored everybody to death now. If there are more questions, we are happy to answer. Sachin sir, you would want to share anything else?
No, I think I'm fine for now. You're doing a good job there.
Of boring people. But no, happy to always be available. We are there on LinkedIn all the time. Our phone numbers are there with everybody. If any of you is trying to build any product and want to reach out, I am present in Delhi.
I have one more request.
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
How can you people help our center?
Can we come and meet you?
Then let's discuss. We people need your help to grow our center in terms of finance. How can you acquire the finance to grow the center? Any help from your side and other people who can help our center to make the product selling to the market, so that the money from the center will be invested in university, student can be benefited?
सर, जब मेरी पहली जॉब लगी थी तो Adobe में लगी थी, और I was a bit emotional about that we had 7 people placed in Adobe. That was a record placement that year. तो सबसे पहली चीज मैंने करी थी कि Adobe को कन्विंस करा था जामिया को 5 लाख रुपए देने के लिए. So we were doing a festival which we only started in Jamia, which was called Algorithm. So this was like Computer Society of India chapter we had. So I knew that it took me a lot of effort to get 5 lakh rupees, fresh from Adobe back then. But I'm sure कि अगर आप ऐसे 20 लोग ढूंढ लें जो 5-5 लाख रुपए ले आएंगे अपनी कंपनियों से, तो आपके पास 1 करोड़ रुपया हो जाएगा.
That is a great idea. Really, we are facing the problem for the center. That every time students are saying, sir, there is a lack of money, so that money is required to develop something. But some point of time, we are helpless. So we are trying to connect the people so that they can help the student and student can grow.
Sir, Sachin sir, I would want to interrupt. Sorry.
Yes.
So, sir, what I believe is money is the commodity now, because everybody wants to invest in good entrepreneurs and good startups. And this is something which has, happened in the last 7-8 years. And I'm sure for good ideas, there will never be dearth of money. and they should ideally first try and generate money on their own through anything possible, because it also shows to the investor that this is a team which is fully focused. They will do anything to succeed. If that is happening, then sir, money will flow.
Definitely.
Sachin sir, sorry to interrupt. Please go ahead.
That's why we are also we want to generate money ourselves from the center. But I don't know where we are lacking, that we are not able to generate the money from the center itself.
I think, Mansur sir, we've got a lot of ideas both from Sachin and from Zohaib, but I think we also need to show something of our own. But I mean, we've got, a lot of inputs from them, so there are ways in which it can be done. But yeah, please, sorry for interrupting. Please go on, Zohaib.
No, I'm good, ma'am. Plus, Mansur sir, I think we should also meet, and then maybe we should think in terms of what is the product which we can sell for centers also product. Sachin, sir, you want to take a call?
Yeah. Sachin wanted to say something first. Sachin, yeah.
I was just wanted to saying that like there's a good friend of mine, Mohit. Zohaib also knows him. He's also a Jamia alumni. So right now he's working with the Ministry of Education as Innovation Cell Director. So I've been always contributing 1 lakh rupees a year to the Ministry's Smart India Hackathon Challenge. And I've been always trying ke Jamia ki koi team jeete without being biased, at least in my problem statement. So if we organize a competition, let's say, which is relevant to my field, for example, I've been sponsoring a challenge every year in Smart India Hackathon on deep learning. So that is another way that aap aise competition organize kare, which is relevant to the companies of alumni, that they can come and sponsor. Then one way is that students will get some real life projects. There will be prize money available. In a way, Government of India is already doing it through Smart India Hackathon. But I believe what Mohit was telling me that they want colleges to do. So I'm sure that Jamia can also do it. And I have participated also in the preliminary rounds in Jamia before. So the another approach, sir, could be, one is that you engage, alumni which are placed in good companies, especially corporates. So corporates can easily give money, for them it will not be a big deal if the right person is involved in the conversation. So if you want to set up some kind of a seed fund. Second approach could be that you organize competitions and then you see specific to problem, who is the relevant alumni there. And third approach could be, I know, for example, FICCI took 10 crores from DRDO. And why FICCI took 10 crores from DRDO? To say that they will license DRDO's innovation to the industry. So FICCI would just organize matchmaking events. So today there are so many government PSUs and bodies out there, from Indian Oil to whatnot, who can easily come and give 10 crore, 50 crore to Jamia if we knock the right door. So we definitely need to be very clear that what capability we want to offer. But I am very sure, sir, if we go and associate with the right corporate or PSU, there should be money available for that particular topic and challenge. And that also could be very good for the university, because our bread and butter is knowledge, right? And if somebody is willing to outsource their some of their research problems that we can take up, I would say, why not?
So just to add on only 1 minute on this. So what I believe is that, sir, everybody has to focus on some specialized niche. Now there is a Sastra University which is working with the Government of Defense, Ministry of Defense, and trying to build for them. So instead of focusing on everything, if we just focus on one aspect and then reach out to the direct people over there with the right approach, as Sachin has mentioned, no door is small for Jamia. Every door we will crack open, sir.
If I can just come in, we've got so many great suggestions from you, and not just about about what you've suggested in terms of actually collecting problems and then giving that almost as an assignment to students for solving, and that can actually be a method. But one of the things that we've recently started is which is an older program, which is Ideas for Change, where we invite primarily suggestions from students and their ideas about startups and submit that to us. And I think Zohaib, Shiraz Bhai would have already spoken to you about it, and we know that you'll be there in March. So our idea is that we should be able to to prepare our students to be able to actually, groom their ideas to a stage where they can actually think through all the steps involved in actually presenting it as a startup. And so this particular competition is to open this competition to all students of the university. And like you said, that one of the strengths of Jamia is that we have, it's a multidisciplinary university where there are ways in which we can actually, what Sachin was saying, match make, different kinds of people and their strengths and their complementary strengths, which can actually be brought together. So we want to create a platform where we actually bring in all these ideas together. And, Zohaib, Sachin, of course, we can't really have you here in India, but I hope whenever you are here in India, we will actually have the opportunity of hosting you here in Jamia. But we're really counting on you, Zohaib, that you will actually come and mentor us and guide us through this process and actually give feedback to the students of what they need to do. Sometimes students don't even know what problems they need to solve, and this particular session has been such an eye-opener for us all. I'm sure I speak on behalf of everybody, of thinking of so many things that you've given to us as food for thought, where we will be able to, but certainly this idea for change is a competition where we're inviting ideas from students, for startups and for, any kind of business plans that they would have. And so that can then be assessed by people in the field who can actually give them real-time solutions and real-time ideas and mentorship and guidance. And then they can obviously proceed towards the idea of seed funds and of, other things. But I think what Sachin also said, that there are so many opportunities which are available. We do share this information, but I think we have to groom this ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship and startup in the university as a real way, of life. And that's happening, as Zohaib, you said that we've had so many startups. So hopefully, we should be up there, competing with everybody. So yeah. I just wanted to come in at this stage, but please, over to you. We don't want this conversation between you and Sachin to actually end, Zohaib. So, yeah.
No, I'm 100% always available. Plus, all alumni of Jamia are always available, is what I understand. I have traveled to many countries, and I have made it a point that I at least meet one or two people from Jamia. Sometimes they studied in Jamia when I was not born, but they still have that, warm connect always. So 100% there with you. Ma'am, I think we have run out of questions. So Sachin sir, would you want to, add as any last minute thoughts?
No, I am good. When you are speaking, Zohaib, you are already doing it. So I could not stop it.
It's good from my side as well. It was lovely meeting everybody. Saif Saab, ma'am, over to you.
Yeah. So before Saif gives the formal vote of thanks, let me just say this, which is that, I've attended so many conferences and sessions, but I think this has been the session which has been the best session that I've attended, and I've learned so much personally. And it just tells me, that ultimately students are the biggest resource that we have in Jamia. And there's so much that we can learn from you who are doing so well. You remain the inspiring presences that you are, for the university. We're so proud and privileged, and I'm sure your presence here itself is so inspiring for our students who can think that we can also be like Zohaib sir, and we can also be like Sachin sir one day. And we're so privileged and so honored that we got so much time, and we'll count on both of you in the days to come as well. And we seek your mentorship, your guidance, and all your experience is so rich. And we're really fortunate that you're so generous, and your connection to your alma mater is something which makes us reach out to you. And we're really, really grateful to you, Sachin, for taking out so much time, and so much to you, Zohaib too. And we will count on you again, Zohaib, and we'll approach you for ideas for change competition, where we would invite you to assess some of the ideas that our students have. But I can't thank you both enough. Really, it's been the best session that I've attended in my life. Really, thank you. It's been so inspiring, and it makes me. I remember I taught for a decade in Delhi University, and when I came to Jamia, one of my and I had a permanent job there. And when I came to Jamia, and I came with a lot of idealism, and when I see you and you, Sachin, and you, Zohaib, I feel that this journey has been, it's been exactly about this. One feels so emotionally attached to Jamia, and we love Jamia so much that it's basically our community which makes it also worthwhile. So thank you so much, Zohaib, and thank you so much, Sachin. Over to you, Saif, for the formal vote of thanks.
No, I don't know is a formal vote of thanks actually needed or not, because we have got
informal vote of
informal, like we had an informal chat.
It's like you can hold us by our ears and tell us what to do. So you don't have to be, so formal.
Actually, I was thinking the session was so informal, it was so pleasing. I don't know, 130 minutes have already been passed and we are still into it. So, actually, I was thinking like we actually may invite the couple again on one issue. Like, we should also try to understand how the companies are actually valued. Like, I sometimes I teach entrepreneurship in my center. So sometimes because I'm purely from academic side, I had some entrepreneurship, but it's very difficult for us to actually give the student the basic idea about how we value a company. So, you have already invested in 39 companies, 10 companies. So I think maybe we can have a session again. We can invite Zohaib and Sachin again, and we can have a small session on how to value a company. Just one single question. Then we can have a talk for 1 hour, 2 hours or so, how to value a company and what should we do before investing a company. How to value a company. Like if we should go for growth, we should go for future profits, or what should be the actual methods actually, on the ground people are doing. So,
so what we also tried is we will also try and get somebody from the VC network to join us. Sort of our friends are there because and that we can definitely work out, sir, whenever you want.
So formal vote of thanks. So we are very thankful, Zohaib and Sachin, that you joined the platform, and we are already on the platform. As we are sharing your views on these type of things. Like I had at least 10-20 questions to ask, but I need a separate 2 or 3 hour session with you if I want to ask this question. As a teacher, I will ask some questions. Like as a teacher, not your teachers, but as a teacher. So I'm really happy, Siri ma'am bilkul theek bol rahi hai. This was, for the last so many weeks we are having programs, but this was something that is unique, something different. So maybe thank you very much. I'm saying formally. Okay, this was a really wonderful session. Thank you very much.
जोएब का फोन आया था, तुमने क्या करना है? तो मैंने कहा कि क्या स्लाइड्स बनानी है क्या?
The format was wonderful actually, is this conversation and bouncing off ideas off each other. And honestly, I did not want the session to get over. I know your generosity is not something that we should really take for granted and eat into so much of your precious time. Like you said, the time is really one of the commodities, and it's such an important commodity, especially for you and Zohaib. So Sachin, we're really grateful to both of you, and your generosity is something that we will still count on, and we will keep coming back to you. There's so much to learn from both of you and your experiences, and it's been really inspiring listening to both of you.
Really. Jamia ka karza puri life rahega hum pe, so please count on us.
100%.
So grateful, so grateful, Sachin. So grateful, Zohaib. I can't thank you enough, and I'm so grateful actually to Shiraz Bhai. Shiraz Bhai is really the rock star of the center, who actually runs the center and connects all the dots for everybody. I mean, so really. Everybody is. He's got the entrepreneurship ecosystem in his head, and so therefore he's able to always put together people from here and there. So we're also very grateful to Shiraz Bhai, and of course to everybody in the IIC, all my colleagues and all my students and everybody. So, but mostly to you, Sachin, and to Zohaib. It's been such a wonderful session. Really, I'm actually moved. It's like you get emotionally charged and I've taken down notes of all the ideas that you suggested. That all the things that we need to do in Jamia. So whatever way we can all contribute, really. Thank you so much.
No, ma'am, thanks a lot. And thank you for inviting us. Thank you for having us. It was lovely meeting students. I'm pretty sure a lot of them will create decacons, and maybe those terms are yet to be created. But it's delightful that our professors are also, and faculty are also on such a call. So thanks a lot for taking out time on a Saturday afternoon for meeting with the students. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Zohaib and Sachin. I'm very happy to discuss on a topic. I heard about you people, Sachin and Zohaib, but today I'm happy to discuss on a topic. First time I've seen you virtually, not physically. So I'm very happy that you people are making Jamia proud.
I don't want to embarrass Sachin and Zohaib. You're like legends in Jamia. Like Sachin's story about the car being stolen. I really don't want to embarrass you now, but honestly, all these stories are told and repeated, and these are cited as examples to students, to classrooms. So don't want to embarrass you, but it's true. It's something that one is so happy about. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, ma'am. It's an honor to participate, and it's our duty to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thanks, F. Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.